welcome to Networking with Nathaniel, a podcast that I started a little over a year ago, selfishly, so I could talk to high level individuals inside and outside of the real estate space. We've had some great conversations, so if you're new here, there's some good ones to go back and check out on. If you're a returning guest and you haven't yet done so, please like the videos that you see and have seen in the past because that helps us reach more people. Today, I have the pleasure of chatting with, how do I say it concisely here? A friend, a coach, a mentor, somebody that I aspire to be like in so many different ways. Jesse Stanton. He's been a staple inside the Sub 2 community for years now and has since helped many people grow their real estate investing businesses and just entrepreneurship mindset and all those things and beyond. I'm losing my words here, so I'm just going to invite him up. It looks like he's done with his little blurb there he was doing.
What's going on, brother? Good morning to
Appreciate
you, man.
dude.
How are you?
Yeah.
I guess afternoon.
It is afternoon. Just 5 minutes ago, changed for me. It's for those of you who don't know Jesse, he is on the Alaskan time zone there, so it's really morning for him right now. Although it's morning for him, you're like maybe a quarter or a third of the way through your day at this point.
Yeah. I usually start them pretty early. Didn't always happen that way, but it turned out to be a blessing in disguise for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm so appreciative and humbled of the opportunity to be here, man. To see what you and your wonderful and beautiful wife and family are doing, and to see the growth that you have undergone and what you're continuing to do and the trajectory you're on, and just what you're doing with this podcast and serving people, dude. It's really inspirational. It's infectious, and I'm so humbled and grateful for the opportunity to be here with you. So thank you so much for having me, man.
I appreciate you being here, man. I know I've been on yours a couple times talking about, I forget exactly what we talked about the first time, maybe just our experience in the Growth Co. and then our experience in Unleash and Invest. And we were talking off camera that this is a different dynamic for us now where I'm going to be asking more of the questions. And, you're an open book. So I think that I'm going to do my best to maybe pry some things out of you that haven't been, you haven't shared already, because you talk about so much about your family and how you manage that and your businesses and your coaching program that you do, that it's hard to kind of find new information from Full Metal Jacket. Are we
getting into like what happens after 11 p.m. on Friday nights, or like where is this going?
For me, it's a sitting on the gaming chair with a big tub of ice cream, watching interviews and stuff.
Oh, I love that, dude.
Yeah, that's a little bit of an inside joke, but we're going to let it out right now. When we were going through the hiring process for our operations manager, we got down to 2 people, and we were really torn, and we ended up making an amazing decision, gratefully. But I had sent them to Jesse and said, hey, we're watching them right now. If you'll watch them, and give us any feedback. And he did a great job of not giving us any like, hey, this is who I'd take feedback. But I sent him a picture of, it was me sitting on the floor in this little kind of gaming chair that I still have with the laptop. I was watching it, and I had a gallon of ice cream, and I was just going to town. So I know that's not your screen. What is it? Not desktop.
Oh, my wallpaper. It was my wallpaper for months,
for
dude. And it was funny because every time, like, my wife would see it, and we're just at a point now where I just do like silly stuff like that. So she sees Nathaniel half naked eating a tub of ice cream, and he's on my wallpaper on my phone. It's not even one of those things, where she's like,
just weird.
That didn't even have to ask anymore. It's like, okay, no mistaking which one Jesse's phone is.
Yeah. Well, we were to go back to what we were kind of talking about, because I think that's something that, well, before I say that, usually I start this out with like, hey, what are you working on? What are you up to? What's keeping you busy? But in the vein of trying to kind of do some things that you haven't talked about before, because if you know Jesse at all, you know what he's doing, right? And Jesse's got plenty of content out on his Facebook and out on his YouTube and Instagram now that you can go find that stuff out. We were talking before we went live here about how you're making some big changes
Mm.
in your business and in your daily routine. And I'd love to kind of bring that to the people that are listening right now, if you wouldn't mind.
Oh yeah, yeah, that'd be great, dude. That'd be
Yeah.
great. You know, it's funny, dude, how closely tied self-development is with business. Like you get a lot of people that want to start a business and they take that W-2 mentality over to their business.
Mhm.
And they think that, oh, if I just put in the hours, if I just put in the work, then I'm going to be fruitful. I'm going to have the results that I want. And it doesn't work that way at all. And it's so funny just reflecting on how I even spent my first year in real estate and how I took that W-2 mentality. And I just thought, hey, if I trade my time for money, if I just put the time in, then I'll get the results that I want. And if that was true, I mean, there's plenty of hard workers all across the country.
Yeah.
Everybody, there's good. Most people work pretty hard, I like to think.
Yep.
But, obviously that's not the measure of wealth. Simply just working hard isn't enough. And so throughout my self-development journey, your income will never surpass your own self-development. The way that you think about yourself, the way that you value your time, your accountability, the leadership skills and traits and experiences that you take and tailor and implement into your daily life, the habits that you put into place every single day, the discipline that you execute with, like all of these things, like just factor into your income and your wealth and the quality of life that you want to live. And as I'm going through my own journey right now, the reason why any of us are where we are and not where we want to be is simply just because we haven't become that person yet. And you can't become that person if you're not allocating time to become that person. So you can't be in the mindset of trading your time for money. If you're spending, 8 or 9 hours a day in a W-2, and then you come home and you got 3 or 4 hours to work on your business, you can't become that person just by spending 3 or 4 hours cold calling sellers, as an example.
Yeah.
And so you've got to understand how to restructure your time, how to recalibrate, how to buy back your time so that you can then invest that time into the skills and habits that are equivalent, that are of the caliber of the wealth and the life that you're trying to create. So that's what I'm doing right now. So each, we all kind of go through these phases where it's, every 3 months or every 6 months or, every year, there should be milestones throughout all of our lives where, if you and I did not speak or see each other for 6 months, you and I should both be able to look back at each other 6 months from now and be like, holy shit, there's something different about him.
Yeah.
We should both be saying that to each other. So I'm just kind of at a different milestone right now where I'm just trying to buy back my time so I can acquire some of the skills and things that I'm going to need to get to the places that I'm trying to get. So yeah, my day is usually filled like it is like to the brim, like it's back to back, like on the hour, every hour, like there's something met with intention. There's a lot of meetings and stuff in place. And so for the last month or two, one of the things I've been very cognizant and intentional with doing is trying to buy back my time, getting more systems and automations set up in my businesses so that I can allocate my time towards the things that only Jesse can do in the business. So that's where I'm at right now.
I love there's a couple things that you mentioned there that maybe people will have missed that I've heard you say so many times that are just kind of second nature to me now. And you said buy back your time a few times there. Right. And something that we worked on very heavily was hiring from the top down and being able to buy back your time. And I had mentioned at the top of this that we made the right decision when we were facing those two people. And something that we've been able to do with your help is empower the person that we brought in to just do what they were brought in to do, essentially. Hey, this is our goal. This is where we're heading. How do you see the best fit to do it? And I just got off of a call with Joanna, our operations manager, earlier today, and it tied in with something that we were talking about so beautifully last week and on our Monday night Growth Co call, which was um, the quality of the content that I'm putting out. And
Yeah.
she had dove in, doved, whatever.
All of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
past tense, pretense, whatever. She was looking at the emails that we were sending out and what the open rate is and what the click-through rate is. And she's just like going, okay, how do we do better here? We have a really good open rate from what we're seeing. It's like, okay, how do we get more people to click now? How can we produce better quality for the people that are opening it?
Yeah.
I feel like I got sidetracked there. No, maybe.
Buying back your time.
Yeah, buying back your time. I don't know where other
And
than
then
where I was
Joanna.
at.
Speaking of
Yeah,
Joanna.
Yeah. Well, you've started to delete, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you're not just deleting though. You're being very intentional with the things that you're deleting, and from what I gather, probably is you're not just getting rid of these things. You're taking the people that you have in place and empowering them to now be able to do things without Jesse.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
absolutely, 100%.
what are you're clearing your schedule out? What are you going to start filling now this time with? Because it's not like you're just going to go, I got 4 hours now in the day. Where
Right.
yeah, right.
Right. Yeah, actually, you know what? Where I got this from was from a biography of Elon Musk. Do you mind if I share that? Can I?
Yeah.
Mind if I read that?
Yeah.
Let me. Oh shoot, where did it go? Let me see if I can find it real quick.
As you're looking for that, Lucas asked a question here that I can answer. Typically, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, it's like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning for him. He knocks out a bunch of stuff personally that before everybody else is waking up, and then is able to start affecting the people in the contiguous United States. Now that he's knocked that stuff out, that's why he gets up so early. And as far as tips to wake up early, go to bed early.
That's a good tip, man.
Yeah,
that's a good tip, dude.
And like for me, the forcing myself to wake up early for a few days or a week, you may not be able to go to sleep early enough yet for you not to be tired, but after doing it for a few days or a week, you'll be ready to go to bed at 9 o'clock at night if you've been waking up at 4 o'clock. And I think it's maybe Benjamin Franklin that said, I'm going to butcher it, like men who wake up early, go to bed early, wake up early, make men young, rich, and mindful. Oh, man, it's in my journal. Okay, you read the thing. I'm going to get the quote.
Okay, yeah, I'll read the thing.
Yeah.
So I recently read an Elon Musk biography. And during his process of building both Tesla and SpaceX, he would go through and aggressively remove parts of the process. He would walk through the factory asking, why do we do this? Why do we have this part? Why do we do it this way? Delete. His theory was that you would know when you delete too much. And then you could go back and add in 10 to 15%. And that would get the process to where you need it to be. Our minds crave complexity, yet simplicity is one of the most beautiful and effective forms. Show me a great communicator, and I'll show you someone who can break down complex concepts and make them simple. Some people believe that you have to constantly be adding to improve things, add a habit, add a routine, add a discipline, add knowledge, add experience. But that's not correct. Make it simple. Delete. I'm looking at this in all areas of life. Simplify. Get to the purest form. What in your life could benefit from this approach? What would your day, week, life look like if you were like Elon? and asked, why do we do it this way? Do we have to do it this way? Delete, delete, delete.
It reminds me of, there's a part in there that's like how somebody really knows what they're doing can break things down and make things very simple. I don't know if you had this in the Air Force, but we had KISS in the Marine Corps, and
Like the band? Oh, the acronym.
yeah. We had the
Got
band
it.
too. Keep it. Yeah, I've changed it to keep it super simple because I wanted to remove the word out of there, but it was keep it simple, stupid, right? Like,
Yeah.
go back to the basics, make this the fundamentals, and be able to build from there. So like you said, he's deleting. Oh shoot, that was too much. Now performance is being affected, quality is being affected. Maybe how do we just add a little bit until we get back to that sweet spot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. I had a call with somebody who they were having issues growing and scaling their business. And one of the things that they had done was they brought in like anytime somebody decides to get into real estate and they raise their hand and say, hey, I'm new, this is what I'm trying to do, this person like grabs them and brings them into his business. And so he at one point had like, he still might, I'm not sure, I haven't talked to him in a little bit, but last time I talked to him, he had like 70 or 80 people cold calling for him.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh.
Imagine that. You can imagine just right off the get-go, like what kind of chaos does that ensue? How do you create something that is not only manageable, but predictable and scalable? How do you monitor those things? How do you track the progress? Do you have the organization? Do you have the manpower in place already to be able to handle all of these things, provide everybody the training that they need to be having, the onboarding, the like just all of this, man. And if you don't know how to if you don't have the right, like you were saying, like the big thing that we went through is learning and understanding why hiring from the top down is the highest and best use right from the get-go. Because when you understand that skill, when you learn that skill, when you start to see business from that vantage point, then that becomes your new minimum operating level for everything that you do for the rest of your life. Like when you see people that are going that they'll go in and they make, if you have two different people and they get dropped off anywhere in the country, and it's like this person in 60 days made X amount of money, meanwhile this person only made this amount of money. They both had the exact same amount of time, but it's literally just the different mindsets from which they approach the situation. And you want to be able to take advantage of every little thing that you can. So understanding little key concepts like this are so stinking vital to the way that we think, the way that we understand, the way that we simplify, the way that we iterate. So all this to say, like, you can add in as many people as you want, and that creates more complexity. That's the easy thing to do. Yeah. Try and replicate the same amount of results that you ideally would have with 80 people, and then solve the problem of like, hey, how could we do this with 6 people? Like, what would that process have to look like?
Yeah.
So anyway, I just love Elon's approach to just deleting and simplifying things. And it just, every 90 days or so, I reflect back on that quote and I'm like, okay, what do I need to do for the next 90 days? And then ideally, the way that I look at every single year is I look at like, so we're approaching, fourth quarter of this year. So here come probably November, December timeframe, I'll kind of do an annual audit of what my year looked like overall, where my time was being spent. And I'll actually physically write things down of where I spent my time. And I will make it a goal of next year of making sure those things get maintained, but I'm personally only involved in half of that. So every year I'm looking to be like, how can I grow my business? But I'm only going to do half the things that I did last year. And that requires you to simplify.
Yeah. What's it? I know that this Elon quote is, or this Elon story kind of is, plays on you or plays to you. What the heck? Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there,
Resonates.
there it is. Resonates. Was there this is going back a month and a half at this point, right? Where you were like, okay, no, I got to start. Was there a breaking point, or was there something that just went, aha?
I would say it was kind of more of like an aha moment. Like for me, each time that I've leveled up and done something, it's just because I consume more information than anybody else I know.
Hmm.
I consistently just I if I could sit and just read a book a day, like I would. Like I'm just on the hunt for information always. When I was in the Air Force, when my wife and I first got married, this was almost 14 years ago. We were both into The Office. Loved The Office. Loved watching The Office.
Yeah.
Obsessed with it. Still am. Seinfeld and The Office are like my thing. But when we first got married, The Office was on our TV 24/7. We slept with The Office on. When we were doing things around the house, The Office was always on. When we left the house, we left The Office on for the dogs, so it wasn't quiet. Doing the dishes, like do everything, man. We'd get in the car and run to Walmart. Like we'd have The Office playing through the car while we're on our, on our phone,
Yeah.
while we're running errands and stuff. Like it was literally The Office 24/7. And as I started getting into understanding, self-development and business and entrepreneurship and all these things, I looked at how I spent my time and I was like, oh my gosh, like, why don't I just replicate what we did with The Office with just information?
Yeah.
And so that's what I do right now. So instead of having The Office playing at any given time, like I've always got a podcast, or when I'm doing the dishes, or when I'm taking and running my kids to, ballet class and Ninja Warrior class. And if I got to run to Walmart, like it's the first thing that I do. I'm like, boom, how can I get more information? I'll read an entire book. Here's the thing is that sometimes, like, I read so much information, I can even read a bad book and learn something from it.
Yeah.
And anybody can,
yeah.
But it's that little, it's the intention behind it that makes the biggest difference. So you can get, you can read Elon Musk's biography, and what I just read you could be the only thing you took from that book. But it's like, oh my gosh, what changes did you make from that one little thing? Mm-hmm. There's a book called 10X is Easier Than 2X. For those of you guys that came to our Las Vegas mastermind, that was one of the books we had. We had like 4 or 5 books or something like that we handed out, and that was one of them. But let me read you a paragraph that has made me so much money just from this one paragraph. It says, focusing on exponential goals is easier than linear goals because exponential goals produce a much different and more specific form of quality. If you were trying to make $10 million, rather than solving 100 problems at $100,000 each, it's much easier attempting to solve a single $10 million problem. And I was like, oh my gosh, like just that little bit alone. I'm like, holy cow. Like I will take something like that. And then I will take a little paragraph like that, and I will look at where is this applicable in anything that I'm doing in any of my businesses. And then that's what starts the rabbit hole. And then it's all, you've heard my traverse story.
Oh yeah.
Right? It's like, oh, boom, traverse, boom, traverse, boom, traverse. So kind of the same concept right here. Well, I will take a little paragraph or a little snippet, a little piece of information that I get. And then the rest of the information that I go through the rest of the week or through the rest of the month is from that lens. So then it's like, boom, boom, boom. I'm seeing all these things that are relevant. Yeah.
Yeah, I tried. I couldn't do it. My wrists are bad. Yeah.
So then I start looking at all the information that I'm taking in through that specific lens now. So that's really just it. Like I just consume so much information and I go implement it immediately. Yeah. That's where a lot of this stuff comes from. Like it's not one of those things where I just happen to look at my schedule one day and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to make a change here. Like I'm constantly changing.
I'm glad you said that at the end because you held off mentioning that you're implementing it, right?
Yeah.
Until it's not that I'm just like going and consuming, and then if it comes up in a conversation, now I have all these things that I can say. Oh yeah, have you heard this quote? No, I'm actually going out and learning, and then doing. I think it was on the podcast a couple weeks ago with Creighton, and I'll probably butcher it, but it was like, to know and not do is to not truly know, along those lines.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sure enough, I was reading a book, which I just finished, and it was like the very last few pages of that book. I'm like, Creighton read this book probably, because it was right in there, to know and
Oh,
not
which
do.
book was it?
10-page marketing, or one-page marketing plan.
Oh, the one-page marketing plan.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. So good, dude.
Yeah, haven't implemented all of it yet, but I have been implementing parts of it. Yeah, so it's not that you're just going out and consuming content. You're looking for little bits and pieces, like you said, even from bad books, that you can go, that's something I could do. And like the one-page marketing book is a book that I have to go back and look at over and over and over again. And that's when there are certain books that audio is great for, but there are books like that.
That's
where
not
it's
one
like,
of them.
yeah, no, you just got it. You got to have it and be able to go, oh yeah, no, that's it
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, that's funny, dude.
Yeah,
That's that book sits in my office, man. That is one that I'm constantly on repeat with.
Yeah,
that's funny. I'm the exact same way. That was one I was like, I got to have this one in person.
Yep. Yeah, and I used to listen to a lot of music, and I know that music is a big part of your life. Background being that what it is. It's it was something that I thought was always going to be there, and it is still. I still do listen to music, but I, just like you, now have replaced pretty much anytime I'm in the car, if I'm mowing the lawn, right, doing all these other things where you would just listen to music, or you could just listen to music, or you could just listen to The Office. So right now, this is an opportunity to where I can consume something and get some more value to it from it. And like we had a conversation about the mowing thing. It's something that I've been toying with for years now, because we have a few acres. Going and mowing and all the things takes me 3+ hours. And it takes, it's a Saturday, and it's time away from the kids. It's time away from doing things that could be more productive, right? But we had this talk, and it was like, dude, just like listen to a podcast, or hop on a Zoom that somebody's doing, where you can get some value out of it. And now I'm knocking two things out at once. I'm getting the yard mode, right? And I'm gaining some value. And it's like, instead of looking at it as a $50 an hour task, or whatever that number would be from being able to hire that out, it's like, what can I go learn that's maybe $1,000 an hour value? So
yeah,
the little things that you learn from Jesse,
dude. Well, but it's like you said this as well. You said in that conversation, you were like, you know what, like using, and we'll use mowing the lawn as an example. If your time is worth, if you want to make $1 million a year, and you break that down to an hourly rate, that means your time is worth $500 an hour. Your time cannot be worth $500 an hour if you're not working on your self-development. If you don't specialize in something, when you designate 100 hours towards one discipline, there's 8 billion people on this planet. When you designate 100 hours towards one discipline, you become better than 95% of the world population, which is 7.6 billion, which is 18 minutes a day. You spread 100 hours over the course of a year. It's 18 minutes a day. So if your time is worth $500 an hour, and you can pay somebody, $40 per hour for mowing the lawn, or $30 or $20 or whatever it is, $20 an hour to mow the lawn in 2 hours, that's $40. And a lot of people look at that and they're like, oh, well, you know what? I'll just go mow my own lawn because I can save $40. But if your time is worth $500 an hour, they're looking at it wrong, because it's like, no, you didn't save $500. You missed out on making $960 if that's what your time is worth. But when we were having this conversation, you made a point which I wholeheartedly agree with. You're like, you know what? I actually kind of like mowing my yard. Like, it kind of gives me time to like reflect. And I love that you said that, because I do the exact same thing. Like, yeah, I could pay somebody to come in and mow my yard, but dude, oh my gosh, like I love that. That gives me the opportunity to work, to do something. There are certain things that I love to do because it just gives me that personal fulfillment, that intrinsic fulfillment. Yeah. If I can mow my own yard or something like that. I don't know about cars. So I'm going to go take somebody else to fix my car. But you know what? I love to mow my own yard, and it gives me the opportunity to kind of self-reflect and, take in a little bit more information, get a little bit more. It's my time to meditate, I guess, is a good way to put it.
I do. I should say that too, is like it is a 3-hour task typically for me to mow, to weed whack, to go leaf blow afterwards. Which we're coming into the time of year where it's going to be just mainly leaf blowing. But I don't spend the whole time listening. I will just put the earplugs in for points, because just having the silence and
Yeah.
like you mentioned, the meditative aspect of it, like you're just focused on doing the mowing, and that's when things come from wherever you believe they come from. Like, oh shoot, okay, now I got to pull the phone out and make a note here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Uh, I I wanted to you've mentioned it a couple times here, that you're becoming the person that you need to be to get to where you want to go.
Mhm.
From an outside perspective,
Mhm.
you're where a lot of people want to go. Where does Jesse go from here? Where is Jesse wanting to go?
For me, dude, the thing that I'm looking at that I measure my success from is impact.
Hmm.
So if I want to be, and this is one of the things that I remember like it was yesterday, dude. I was laying in bed with my wife a year ago, and we were just sitting there having a conversation. That's one thing that I really love about the relationship that her and I have, is a lot of the conversations that we have can be about like dreaming. Like she'll send me like houses and stuff on Zillow, and she's like, "Hey, like this would be really cool." And so there's a lot of times that those types of things happen where we just both are consistently, this is where we should go on vacation one day. Hey, we should hold like an event here. What do you think about holding an event here at some point? And this is like, so anyway, we just start creating this reality. And it was a year ago I told her, I said, "Hey, you know what? One of the things that I want to get a little bit more intentional with is having a bigger impact. I want to get on more stages. I want to be," and that's one thing that I like personally love to do. Like I love to public speak, and that's one of the reasons why, like, I love music too. Like I just love performing, and I'm by nature a very theatrical person. And so I said, "Hey, you know what? This is something that I think I could be really, really good at. I could see, taking our family all over the place and just being like a world class speaker."
Yeah.
But in order to do that, you have to become that type of person, right? So it's like, all right, well, what are the skills that you're going to need to work on in order to become a world class speaker? How are you going to communicate better? How are you going to communicate more effectively? How are you going to um, articulate yourself? What kind of storyteller are you going to be? So these are all things that I've worked on with, a lot of the content and stuff that I've put out. And then, because kind of like we were talking about, that lens, looking at information or opportunity or conversation through that lens. Since then, that's always been a goal of mine. And gosh, just this year, I mean, we did our very first mastermind in Vegas, which was really, really cool. I am giving a TED Talk. I have been asked to speak on a stage in front of 2,000 people. I get a 45-minute spot in front of 2,000 people in Orlando. I've been asked to help create another event, which is probably also going to be in Las Vegas. Just got asked to speak at another event yesterday. The individuals who are put that one together, I don't know if they've officially announced it yet, so I won't put their names out there because I really want to announce. I really want to tell. I really want to say it. But and then we have our very first Growth Co event, that we have coming up in December. So those are kind of the things that I'm after now. Like I'm after impact. I want, there's only so much you can do in Alaska, you know,
Yeah.
it's like
You've done
trying
a
to build
lot.
a business from Mars, man. And so
Yeah.
I really, I'm a people person. I'm a social butterfly. I just want to be around other people. I want to sit down with people in person. I want to hear what they have going on, what's going on in their businesses. What are they struggling with? What are the bottlenecks? What's working? What's not working? And I love to just get the whiteboard out and just sit down with people and be like, hey, let's draw this stuff out. Let me show you some of the things that I've learned to take some of the shortcuts. And so for me, that's where I get my fulfillment. That's what wakes me up in the morning. That's why I love to coach, dude. Like real estate, for me, real estate's super cool. But being able to come here and do stuff like this and to help other people kind of put some of those systems and processes and things into place, for me, that's where I get a lot of my, fulfillment. That's what gets me up every morning. So
Yeah.
that's where I see myself headed. It's neat that a year ago, this was something I was talking about with my wife. And because I've had that lens on for the last year, anytime I've ever had a conversation with somebody or anything like that, like it's been through that lens. And it's funny how all these things just start to manifest now. It's almost like magic.
Yeah. Well, that's going back to your Traverse story, which we did.
Yeah.
I meant to like plug it. Jesse was looking for cars, and the Traverse was what they kind of decided they were going to do. And then all of a sudden, you've heard the story before. All these Traverses start popping up. Oh, red car, red car, red car, red car. Right? When I've done a couple videos on this at this point, and I actually talked at my meetup last month about being intentional with your networking when you're going, like you mentioned it, you kind of just brushed over it because it's so second nature to you. But when we know what we're looking for and we know what value we can bring to people, we can go be intentional in our conversations and be finding those opportunities. And it's not even finding, it's like they like the Traverse, they just start popping up because you've put that into your mind that this is what I'm looking for, right? I want to go get on stages. And so now all of a sudden these opportunities to go get on stages are appearing in front of you.
Yeah.
So,
and they've always been there. Like these, these opportunities are literally everywhere.
Yeah.
But most people just don't know how to see them.
Is the is the Orlando or that's coming up in October? Is that right?
December.
Oh, December. Okay.
Yeah, December.
Are tickets for that still on sale?
Yeah. So what we're going to do, actually, I'm glad you brought that up. So I'm speaking at this. It's a Goal Achiever Summit in Orlando. It's at this big, luxurious golf course in Orlando, and it is December 30th and 31st. So I thought, man, this would be super dope. What if we had a Growth Co mastermind, very first Growth Co mastermind on December 29th, the day prior. And, I saw Dan made a post this morning. I'm not sure if you saw it. He just got done reading Who Not How.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So great book. I when Chris and I first became business partners 2 years ago, that book served as the foundation for what our business should look like. And that book is great, but one thing that it lacks is it doesn't break it down. It's like, okay, I know that I need to fire myself from these areas and bring somebody else in to help with these things that are better at these things than I am. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't break down. This is step one in order to do that. Mm-hmm. This is step one. This is the kind of caliber of individual that you're looking for. And this is how to vet those individuals. This is step 3. This is step 4. And so I thought for our very first Growth Co mastermind, essentially doing something around Who Not How, but on steroids, of giving the step by step framework, and then including in the price of that mastermind, like I'm just going to include the ticket to the summit that I'm speaking at.
Okay.
So then you come to the Growth Co mastermind, and then everything that we show you on how to build a team and how to vet and find these individuals that are literally right in front of you. If you're looking for more money, if you're looking for speaking engagements, if you're looking for whatever it is, they're right in front of you. And you're going to be at an event with 2,000 people for the next day, for the next 2 days.
Yeah.
So it'll end up being a 3-day event.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I'm excited for it.
I already told you that I will not be attending this. I think I did, at least. If not, I'm breaking it to you right now. you know that I would love to be there. I think we're going to be pretty knee deep in.
You are
the third life that we've brought in or bringing into this world. Yeah, so it sucks too because it's like a 5 or 6 hour drive from us, so it's easily doable. But yeah, it's not.
Yeah. You guys are gonna have. I'm just glad you guys were able to come in Las Vegas. That was super cool.
Yeah, it was. That was one of those things where I think I clicked on the wrong one here, but that one Michelle brought up, like you mentioned that if I read a bad book and I'm able to get one thing out of it,
Mhm.
I went into that event kind of with that mindset, right? I kind of had a feeling that it was going to be a lot of stuff that we already knew
Mhm.
because we had been through the cohort already. And so I
Mhm.
went into it thinking my number one thing, my number one intention was to just be around you guys, right? And meet everybody in physical, in person. And
Mhm.
then if I can get one freaking other thing out of this, go in there and be focused on what you're talking about. And it ended up coming in the hallway, but when it was just you and I one on one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, and a little cry, a little teary eyed and stuff like that. Yeah. So, um,
Dude, that was a cool moment.
yeah, I appreciate you.
Those are the things. Those are the things that I love.
Yeah. Yeah. I typically ask a question towards the end here of when your time is gone, what do you want to be remembered for? Unfortunately, we've answered that question at this point. Having,
That's
having
all
impact,
right, man.
yeah, having impact on people. Um, yeah, I wanted to. So for one thing that you kind of mentioned there too, and I think I've already kind of hit on this, but I want to make sure that I really nail it down for anybody that's listening. Is when you're going to these big events, 2,000 people can be very overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
And um, we like to go and we have conversations and we'll meet each other and we'll find out where the person lives, what they've been doing, the name of their dog, like all these other things. But because we're not entering into this event with the intention of I want to meet somebody who's going to be a PML for my deal, or I want to meet somebody who's got deals that they need to wholesale, we miss out on these opportunities. And so going
Yes.
in there with like, this is my thing that I'm going to go meet people. It doesn't mean that you don't have conversations with people that aren't, that's not their avatar,
Mhm.
but we're focused on these things in the conversation. And hey, it's
Yeah.
nice to meet you. Moving on to the next one. Right.
Yeah.
We like, I know a lot of people that it's just like, all they want to do is fill this thing up with contacts. And like, that's not how
Probably
you
the worst thing you could do.
yeah, it's just like like, and then you leave the conversation. Hey, we should stay in touch.
Yeah. Yeah,
We
bro.
should, but you
Exactly,
won't.
man.
Yeah.
Me and my wife were in Hawaii last year. And they had a oh, what are those called? Oh my gosh. What are those things called, dude? Where like you get a bunch of like tents basically and people are like selling a bunch of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Like pop-up marketplace kind of thing.
Yeah, we'll call it that. There's a word for it. Anyway, they had one of those things that my wife really, really wanted to go to. And so we drove to this rundown stadium that's in Honolulu. And they had this event where you had all these vendors and stuff just lined out around the entire stadium. And so we pull in, and she had some things that she wanted to get. But as we're pulling in, you're seeing all the things that they have for sale. It's like, oh, what about that? Hey, we need to go here. Hey, we need to check this out. Hey, did you see this Hawaiian shaved ice place? We got to go get one of those. And so we're getting all excited, and we're going through parking, and then we finally get into our parking spot. I shut the car off, and we get ready to go open the doors to the car to get out. And I like had this epiphany, and I'm like, I put my hand on my wife's knee. I'm like, wait, stop. And she's like, what? And I'm like, shut the door. And so we both shut our doors again. And I'm like, before we go in there, we came here for some very specific things. Now, if anybody's ever been shopping, I know if you guys ever walk through Costco, like needing a couple things, and it's like, oh yeah, I got this new Apple thing, and I got some new headphones, and I got 100 packs of detergent, and I knew that was going to be the thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute. Write down. I literally had her get her phone out and write on the notes app. And I'm like, what are we here for? And like I said, she had like some specific things that she wanted. She wanted to get, Hawaiian shirts for the kids and matching shirts or matching dresses for the girls. And I wanted to get a Hawaii themed iPhone case because I always have my phone on me. So it'd be neat to have, a little piece of Hawaii with me every time I pull my phone out. So anyway, we had a couple things that we wanted to do. And I said, hey, here's what we're going to do. Here's our plan. We're going to walk in here And just to make sure that we see everything, but we're not going over budget, we're not doing any of these other things, that we're using our time wisely while we're here, what we're going to do is we're going to pop into a tent. We're going to scan for like 30 seconds. And if we don't see anything that's on this list, then we're moving to the next tent. And then we're going to move to the next tent. We're going to move to the next tent. So, dude, my goodness, like that's what we did. And it was so much fun. We had the best time in the world. We got everything that we needed. To my knowledge, I don't even think that we got anything else that we didn't need. We made the absolute best use of our time there. We got snow cones. We got some Hawaii. Oh, that was it. She wanted some Hawaii chocolate to bring home.
Okay.
So anyway, like it was just such a great time, dude. And I look at like how many different events or in-person masterminds or even Zooms that people hop into. They go to these events and like you said, they have no idea. It's like going to that bazaar and it's like, oh, hey, we can do this and we can do this and we can do this. And look what's in this tent. And it's like, oh my gosh, no, we're not going to Costco here. Stop it. This isn't like a, put 500 contacts in your phone type of event.
Yeah.
What do you need in your business? What are you stuck on? What is it that you're actually looking for? And walk into that event with those filter of glasses on. And so you get to a point to where, like you said, in the conversation, all of your questions are tailored around that. Because if you don't, what's then going to end up happening is you're going to find somebody who did a really sweet deal and they're going to get a little bit of a crowd. And that person's going to sit there telling them about the deal for 45 minutes.
Yep.
And it's like, dude, how many other people could you have connected with? How many other deals could you have found that people need help with? How much money could you have raised from going to this event? How many of you could have found an opportunity to speak at an event?
Yeah, it's funny. You on day one, it was maybe hour one of the Unleash and Invest event. You mentioned that there was a VIP group, which I think was maybe like 10 or 12 people or something. It was, it was small. It was much smaller compared to the big group. Like, I've connected with everybody now, and I know the two of you need each other. And I ended up asking you like a month later, hey, did those two ever find each other? And they did. Like that was, but it was just funny. Like, because you pointed that out, I think it helped people make those connections. How do you balance that with the intention of, whatever this is, I'm looking for PMLs, with not missing out on other potential opportunities?
Have you ever seen the movie The Guardian?
Guardian.
Yeah, it has Ashton Kutcher and...
I have not. I can tell you right there. If it's not Dudes, Where's My Car? I haven't seen it. Oh, no, The Butterfly Effect. I saw that one.
Kevin Costner.
Yeah, no, I haven't. Oh, I know what you're talking about, though. They're like Navy or
they're
like
Coast Guard.
Coast
Yeah,
Guard.
they're in the Coast Guard.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen them. Yeah.
Yep. So in this movie, Ashton Kutcher and Kevin Costner, they're in the Coast Guard, and their job is obviously, they go find, people that are stranded or their boat's about to sink or something like that, and they're going and they got to jump into these frigid waters. I think it takes base like off the coast of either Alaska or Washington or somewhere over there, I think. And it's frigid, it's cold, and when you have a boat like a little cruise ship full of people, you're not going to be able to save everybody. There's storms, the waves are swelling, and like it's just chaos out there. And you can only imagine, put yourself in that position for a second where there's only like a handful of you that can jump out of this helicopter, and you got to swim and you got to go save all these people. You're not going to save everybody.
Yeah.
And one of the moments that stuck out to me in that movie was Ashton Kutcher asked Kevin Costner, who's kind of the senior guy there, when you're faced with that kind of a dilemma, who do you choose? Like, how do you choose who to save? Because you can't save everybody. And he said, you swim as hard as you can, you swim as fast as you can, you save the ones that you can, and then the sea takes the rest. Man. So I kind of approach things from a very similar mindset. I never waste 1 second worrying about missed opportunities. Because I know that that's literally what everybody else is doing. And that's why under this umbrella of real estate, you got everybody that wants to be a real estate investor, but you have a very, very small percentage of people that are actually doing it. It's because most people are worried about that exact thing right there. Like, oh, well, hey, I need to go do this, but fudge, I don't want to miss out on any of these other opportunities either. So if me and somebody else wanted to go, like if there was me and somebody else and both of our overarching goal was to go build a portfolio, I know that there's only two things that I need, money and a deal. Well, if I already got deal, if I already got money, one of the other two, or maybe let's say I even have none, I'm not going to go look for both of them simultaneously. I'm going to go pick one, and there might be deals and stuff. And that's the thing, dude. Like, and you know this, like everybody has an opportunity, right? Every time you get on Facebook, everybody has an opportunity. But that's why everybody gets sidetracked, because they're like, oh my gosh, well, I haven't made any money yet, or I'm not where I want to be yet. So maybe if I quit what I'm doing and go take detour over here, I can help this person, and then I'll make $100,000. Like, there's no such thing as quick money. Like, it's like, dude, just freaking stop. Work on yourself. Become the person. Like, you have to become the person first if you want all of those things. Like detouring is not the fast route to building your business. It's not the quick money. And so, yeah, I don't worry about missed opportunities. I go in there if I'm looking for money, and that's basically the conversation I'm having with every single person. And the sea takes the rest. Whatever opportunities are there, dude, like the sea takes the rest. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a morbid story to use as an analogy, I guess, but yeah, it's prudent.
Yeah.
Dang.
Well, of the opportunities,
Yeah. I connected with 1,950 people that's an event, and the other, 50 people. The other 1,950, the sea took. You've mentioned a couple books on here. I mentioned the question that I like to ask everybody. I think we got the answer to that. You were trying to create impact, somebody that touched a lot of people. Let's just.
Yeah, I actually. Can I share something with you, or I don't want to go over time, or I don't.
I mean, it's your time.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I was stationed down at Luke Air Force Base in Phoenix, this was back in 2000. I got stationed in 2013, and shortly after that, probably 2014. As you know, I don't know about the Marines, the Air Force, at least Air Force wide. They're really big on for your annual evaluations. Like, they want to see that you're volunteering out in the community and stuff throughout the year, creating impact out there, like all that kind of stuff.
Okay. Not in the Marine Corps. No.
Got it. Yeah.
But yeah.
Air Force makes sense.
Yeah.
So one of the things I ended up doing, they had a military cemetery, a veteran cemetery, in Phoenix. And we, myself and a handful of other people, volunteered one weekend to go and just kind of clean up the cemetery. And up at that point in my life, I was probably 25 or so, really into music, as you guys can see. Like, I've played guitar for over 20 years, been in bands, recorded music, been on the radio, all that stuff. And so at that point in my life, like in my head, I'm still thinking like, dude, I'm going to make this a thing. Like, I'm going to break out. It's just a matter of when. I'm going to be a rock star. And that's what has been in my head the majority of my life up to that point. And as I'm walking around the cemetery, I'm looking at all the gravestones of these veterans. And Nathaniel, what was really interesting is none of those individuals, when you read what was on their gravestones, man, I'm almost going to cry thinking about it. When you read what was on those gravestones, not one person out of the thousands of people there had anything like sold, had like 2 platinum records, sold out Madison Square Garden 7 nights in a row. They had things like loving father. They had things like, talked about them being a spouse and a grandfather or a grandmother, and they talked about things that they left behind as an impact, the fulfillment that they brought to people. And at the end of the day, man, I'm so glad I had the opportunity to go through that experience, because those are really the things that matter. It's not about the sold out shows. It's not about the platinum records. It's about how did you love, is a good way to sum it up. How did you love?
Yeah. That's crazy to think, actually, that's when you put it in like that, right? Billy Joel has sold out Madison Square Garden every month for 10 years. It might be more than that at this point. Yeah, every
Wow.
month he sells out Madison Square Garden. That's not what's going to be on his gravestone. It's going to be something heartfelt from his wife, his kids, right? Something along what actually Billy Joel was to them and what he meant to them, and the legacy that he left behind that way. Yeah. Book recommendations. You've already dropped a few.
Oh,
yeah. I like to go like 3 books. They, ones that have impacted you, are currently impacting you.
let me pull this open and look.
Yeah, real estate or otherwise related, probably otherwise. You already said 10x is easier than 2x. We talked about Who Not How already, Buy Back Your Time.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all great ones, but I know that there's some hidden gems in there from Jesse.
I just got done reading a book called Die with Zero, and it's not as morbid as you think. Really just kind of neat, a really neat perspective to think about, living our life. I won't give it away. I'll let you guys go read it. Ooh, this one is really, really good. I really, really love this one. It's called Millionaire Success Habits by Dean Graziosi. That one is really, really good. Ooh, Outwitting the Devil.
Yeah.
Dude, that one is really good.
That's one having the physical copy of.
Yeah, for sure. One is called, I think this is the right one. It's called The Motive, which is it's all about leadership.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give me too many. My pile's already stacking up.
Okay. You want me to give you? Let me try. Let me go through one more. Gosh, man, there's so freaking many, dude. Ooh, I'll say Failing Forward by John Maxwell.
Oh, I didn't know that was actually a book.
Yeah.
I thought that was just a clever thing that everybody says.
I did too, until I came across that book and I was like, oh wow, let me read this. This one's really good. The pottery story that I shared with you guys. You remember that one?
No.
Ceramics teacher.
No.
You want me to share it?
Sure, go for it. I think of the pottery story that I'm thinking of is more God. Is that not ceramic story, or not a pottery teacher?
So this one's really good for any of you guys that are
1 or 100.
For any of you guys that are worried about failing, like you're worried about putting yourself out there because you may not fail, or whatever it is. This is out of the book called Failing Forward. The ceramics teacher announced on opening day that he was dividing the class into 2 groups. All of those on the left side of the studio, he said, would be graded solely on the quantity of work they produced. All of those on the right side would be graded solely on the quality. His procedure was simple. On the final day of class, he would bring in his bathroom scales and he would weigh the works of the quantity group. 50 pounds of pots rated an A, 40 pounds of B, and so on. Those being graded for quality, however, needed to produce only one pot, albeit though a perfect one, in order to get an A. Well came grading time, and a curious fact emerged. The works of the highest quality were all produced by the group that was being graded for quantity. It seems that while the quantity group was busily churning out piles of work and learning from their mistakes, the quality group had sat around theorizing about perfection, and in the end had a little more to show for their efforts than grandiose theories and a pile of dead clay. It doesn't matter whether your objectives are in the area of art, business, ministry, sports, or relationships. The only way you get ahead is to fail early, fail often, and fail forward. And that is an excerpt that came right from that book. I just thought that was so awesome, because I used to be, and I think maybe a lot of us can resonate with this, we want to be the person that only has to produce one pot, albeit a perfect one, though, in order to get an A. And so there's a lot of people that want to have that perfect business. Like perfect example real quick, and kind of wrapping this up here. Like, you take that little excerpt right there, right? And it's like, okay, how do I apply this to my business? Where is this applicable in my life? Like if nothing else, screw the rest of the book. That little excerpt right there. Like, what can I learn from this? How is this applicable to my life right now or in my business right now? And it's like, oh my gosh, how much time have I spent asking people, what CRM they should use? Or who's got the best data, or who, whatever it is. It's like, oh my gosh, like literally none of that stuff matters. It doesn't matter. Like, go take action, go run through and iterate, go do volume of pots. And in that way, that's how you're going to end up with the perfect pot. Your quality is going to get better through the quantity. You can't sit around theorizing, asking questions, jumping on Zooms, asking people. Some people take 60 days to figure out what CRM they want to use.
Yeah.
It's like, my goodness, you got to be kidding me here. So anyway,
my thumbs maybe, but
do what? Dude, me too. That's how I know. That's why I'm so passionate about it. It's like, dude, because I see myself right there.
Yeah.
So.
Guys, so I mean, that's the CRM one is so great, because you see so many people thinking about that, and it doesn't. You don't want to discount the fact that yes, you should be thinking forward, but like, you don't even have a lead yet, let alone the hundreds that you need a CRM for.
Right.
So go out and get some leads first, right? Go out and talk to some people, and like as soon as you started saying like the first three words, I was like, oh yeah, I remember. And Shannon was all over it. It's like, let these go out and take some action, and let the actions compound. And that's how at the end of the semester, you're able to build a pot that is better than everybody who's just been focused on making one good pot, right?
Absolutely.
You don't just want to put the clay on the thing and like go, we'll see what comes of it, right? I want to have the intent of making a pot out of it, but you don't want to just be sitting there, okay, well, how do I make the perfect pot? You gotta go and try to make a pot first, right?
Dude, 100%. Like, yeah. That's such a perfect metaphor right there, dude. Like, people put the clay on the wheel, and instead of molding it or doing, making one, screwing it up, and then going and getting another thing, they'll put one clay on the wheel, or one pot of clay on the wheel, and then they'll go read a book about pottery, and then they'll go call somebody. They'll FaceTime somebody like, hey, I bought this thing of clay, and I've got it sitting on the wheel right now. What are some of the things you think I should do with it?
Yeah, what's the best speed to have the thing turning?
Exactly. What is the best speed, dude? How much water should I be using? Oil, or should I be using water to lubricate this thing? Yeah. Like, it's like, my goodness, dude. Don't rob yourself.
No. We're a little over here. I want to make sure I'm respectful of your time. I know you've cleared up. Actually, as a matter of fact, a month ago, this wouldn't have even happened. Because you typically were having meetings here during this hour. You've said so much. Is there any last little you want to give?
Yeah. I'll just, there's been one thing that has been an epiphany for me over the last couple of weeks. So anytime I get the opportunity to kind of share some of these things, I want to. So thank you for allowing me. If I had it over to do again, the two things I would focus on, that are going to make the biggest impact. If you want to look at return on investment when it comes to your time, energy, and effort, and the returns that you're getting, monetary, relationship, or otherwise, is number one, focus on becoming a world-class leader. Now, as I say that, and I know people are listening, if I was in the audience, here's what I would do. Jesse says, become a world-class leader. Got it. How can I take that and actually apply that? How is that applicable to my life right now? Okay, well, what is a world-class leader? And I would start writing down characteristics of what a world-class leader is. And I would start actually physically writing down and annotating what is applicable to me. Where am I doing good? What do I need to double down on? Because as you know, Nathaniel, becoming a world-class leader yourself, you know that CRMs don't matter. As a matter of fact, you'd probably find somebody else to make that decision. Yep. So there's so much that happens from just making that your intention. So one, focus on becoming a world-class leader. Number two, change your environment. Those are the two biggest things that I think will, in my experience, would get me back to where I am in the shortest amount of time. If I was to lose my memory and all the skills and things that I've created over the last couple of years, if somebody said those two things from where I was to where I'm at right now, those are the two things that would have the biggest impact. Like, screw trying to evaluate, screw trying to learn sales, screw trying to, I mean, to an extent, I mean, sales is good, I think, for everybody to know, but none of these other things matter, man. Learning how to comp, learning what CRMs and how to run automations and set up websites, like none of that stuff matters. Focus on becoming a world-class leader, and then just get around the right people, change your environment, and find ways that you can serve them. And that would be the fastest way of growing, in my experience. Yeah. So I'll leave you with that.
I'll leave you with this. You can't trust anybody to help you out there. So just in case you do lose your memory, like memento tattoo.
I love that, dude. Yes.
World-class leader and change your environment. Okay.
Got it.
Yeah. I appreciate you. I'm going to boot you out of here, Jesse. Hang tight, though, please.
Awesome, brother. Love you. Thank you, guys.
That was Jesse Stanton. As you can tell, good friend of mine, mentor, coach. It seems like no matter what you ask, he's got just nuggets because he's been doing this a long time. He's impacting a lot of people. If you enjoyed this at all, the conversation that we had, if you got any value out of this, please thumbs up the video. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, because I'm having conversations with amazing people like this every week. And every week there's some value to give. Just like Jesse was saying, you might get one nugget out of the hour that you can take and go and apply to your business. That's what we should be doing. I appreciate y'all for being here live. I appreciate y'all for being here in the future. I look forward to chatting with you next time.